If you're a minimalist adventure rider like myself, you like to travel with the bare minimum. Travel light, travel fast, makes life easier. But if you're riding a machine, even machines as reliable as these Hondas behind me, you're still gonna occasionally have to put a wrench to them. But how can we get rid of all the non-essentials and carry what we need? Nothing more, nothing less. Friends, this is essentially the toolkit that I carry with both of those motorcycles. Only one tool missing from the collection right there, but stick around till the end, and it's a very, very important one that very few people carry, but it has come in handy so many times. When you're doing regular maintenance on your motorcycles or repairs or whatever, I always recommend that you use the toolkit that you carry with you on the motorcycle, because that is what you're going to have. And when you realize that you have shortcomings, you're missing whatever size socket, it's much better, much more convenient to realize that you're missing it at home in the comfort of your home, where you can just go to the toolbox and add it to your kit, than it is on the trail in the middle of absolute nowhere somewhere, and then you need that 12mm socket. That's all you need. You could fix the thing with a 12mm socket, but you don't have it, and now you're stuck walking home or hitching a ride. So when I work on my machines, whether it's the XR650L or the XR150L, every time I use the toolkit that I carry with me. So kind of just starting from the front of the motorcycle and going towards the back, I go through a mental checklist and I make sure that I've got that in my toolkit. Tires. Do I have a way to repair a flat tire on the trail side somewhere? Yes. I've got tire spoons. I carry these two very small tire spoons from Tusk right here, really lightweight, but they work. Is it ideal? Would you like to have a longer spoon, have a little bit more leverage? Of course. But I can and have changed all of my tires on all of my motorcycles with these little spoons right here. Pro tip, if you need to get a little bit of extra leverage on really whatever tool you're talking about, whether it's a tire spoon or a wrench or whatever, you can extend that leverage by putting a pair of vise grips, kind of like these, locking those on the back, and that will give you a significant amount more leverage. Or you can just use an adjustable wrench, kind of like this one right here, and you can lock her down on there and you can get yourself a lot more leverage. Just a few extra inches there makes a big difference. To remove the front wheel, do I have the appropriate 10mm wrenches right here, or sockets, I guess? Do you need deep well sockets for any and all applications? You need to think about that too, or will your standard socket get it done? I can use a 10mm wrench and get those off right there. I was carrying this 10-12 combo open-end wrench right here, but when I attempted to take off my front wheel last time when I had flat, I rounded off one of those nuts that needed to come off with this open-end wrench, because you always want to use a boxed-in wrench if possible. If you can get this in there and use it, because you're much less likely to round off your bolts and nuts. Do I have the Allen to remove this if I should need to replace it, tighten it up? Do I have 10mm sockets, Allen wrenches, Phillips head screwdrivers? I just kind of go through the entire motorcycle, looking at every single nut and bolt, and I make sure that I've got the correct sizes to get the job done. Do I have a way to break my chain if I need to? Yes, I've got that tool. Do I have a spare master link? Yes, I do. Can I get these hoses and lines and fittings? Do I need to carry extra hoses and lines and fittings? Do I have a pair of pliers that I could reach in here and get these clamps off? Do I need to carry fluids and lubricants and who knows, whatever else? It just depends on how far you're going to be traveling and what obstacles you think you might be encountering. Now, luckily, this machine and this machine are both Hondas, and for the most part, the same toolkit will work on either or motorcycle. It doesn't really matter. The XR650 is a pretty easy motorcycle to work on. The 150 is crazy easy to work on. I mean, everything's so easy access. Nothing is hidden. Nothing's buried behind a whole bunch of plastics and stuff. Changing the oil is like minutes. You remove the plug, drain the oil out, put the plug back, pour 1 quart exactly of oil back in it, and boom, you're off to the races. It doesn't even have an oil filter. It's got this like centrifuge. It spins the oil really fast, and the heavy metals kind of gather on the outside, and eventually you got to scrape that out, but rarely, not that often. Do I have Allens? Do I have 14 millimeter wrenches, sockets? And I just kind of go through the thing, and I make sure that I have everything that I need to pretty much completely disassemble and reassemble this motorcycle within reason. So in here, I have a 19-inch inner tube. Now, I know from experience that a 19-inch inner tube will work pretty much anywhere that you can cram it into. We put a 16-inch trailer inner tube on an 18-inch rear motorcycle wheel one time. You just stretch it, cram it. It was way too big around, but it was too small in diameter, so it had to be stretched and then crammed and stuffed in there. But if you can get it in there and get the tire to seat, get the bead to seat on the wheel, it really doesn't matter what size it is. You can put a 21-inch front inner tube in a 18-inch rear wheel if you need to. So it really doesn't matter that much in a pinch. Obviously, you don't want to do that long term, but you get what I'm saying. It'll get you home. So I typically only carry one inner tube, one spare inner tube, and it'll be for the front because you can use the front much more easily on the back than you can and vice versa. So this is a 19 for the XR150. I've got a 21 that I carry for the 650. Chain brake tool right there with extra master link. This is how I deal with inflation issues. If I get a flat tire, Guys, some guys are obsessed with tire pressures, and they raise and lower the pressures depending on the terrain and all that kind of stuff. I don't do that stuff very often at all. Occasionally, if I get in a bad spot, I get in a really slippery slope somewhere and I got to do a crazy gnarly hill climb and the conditions are bad and I'm just not doing well, I'll drop some air pressure to give myself a little bit more traction. But for the most part, I just keep it the same all the time. And the only time I'm adding air is if I've got a flat, and I just use these CO2 because it's just so convenient. It's lightweight, easy to carry. It's low tech. It's not going to break on you. Batteries aren't going to die. Cables and all the doohickeys. There's some good options out there, and if you think I'm crazy for using this, then let me know. If there's something so much better and more reliable out there, just let me know in the comment section. But that's been working for me, and I've changed several flats, probably 3 flats, and on my bicycle. I've used the same thing on my bicycle, and that's another thing. I like things that work for everything. I use this on the bike, I use it on the motorcycles, and it gets the job done. We already talked about my tire spoons there. You have to have at least 2. 3 would be better, but at least 2. Has to. Multi-tool, I'm on the fence about this. I pretty much always have a knife on my belt. This is my On 3 EDC, designed by me, offered by Bear Forest Knives. I pretty much always have a knife on my belt, so this would just be a bonus extra knife right there. The pliers are handy, but I picked these up recently, and I love these little pliers. These are Knipex or Knipex, however you want to say it, made in Germany, adjustable, basically channel locks essentially, but these locking channel locks, they're not the pain in the butt kind that kind of move out of place on you. I really like these, and you can tighten and loosen some pretty stubborn bolts with these little 5-inch pliers right there. I think these are really cool. I splurged. I don't often spend a lot of money on tools or really anything. I'm a pretty frugal guy, but I've been wanting these for a while, so I kind of splurged on them. They have another kind that's just, it's for nuts and bolts. They don't have like serrated teeth. They don't have the gripping edges on the pliers themselves, so you don't mar up your nuts and bolts and stuff. But I went with this set right here because it just looked so dang handy for so many applications. Needle nose, yeah, it's nice to have needle nose, but this would probably do the job for most of that. And plus, I can tighten, loosen bolts and nuts and stuff. I could hold one side while I've got a wrench on the other, perhaps, that kind of stuff. The file is sometimes really handy on multi-tool. I've had to definitely, chamfer some edges on some nuts and bolts and stuff that were stuck and not wanting to thread up because they were, marred up somehow. So that file sometimes comes in handy, extra screwdrivers, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's not that big a deal to carry it, and it'd be nice to have if you needed it. So maybe I'll keep it in there. I've got my adjustable wrench here, my crescent wrench that I've cut down. I've removed some of the extra padding on the handle and stuff. It had like a plastic handle that kind of stuck out to right here. shortened that up just a little bit so it fit my kit better, and I wrapped it with duct tape because duct tape, you know, I don't have to explain duct tape to you. But this solves a lot of my problems right there. Handy little wrench. This is JB Weld. It's like the kind that has 2 layers, and basically when you squeeze it together, mush it together with your hands, it starts the hardening process. So that's what I've got here. I've just wrapped some electrical tape around there to protect it. Zip ties, I don't have to explain zip ties to you. They're good for all sorts of things. This is a tool that helps me remove my valve stem out of the tubes, the inner tubes of my tires. But I probably don't even need it because I have upgraded all my motorcycles to have at least one of these valve stem covers that have the removal tool on it. So I've always got one of those on the motorcycle ready to go. These are my primary wrenches that I would use to loosen the nut on the axle, the rear axle, to remove the rear wheel. This is what I would use for this. These are the tools I think actually that might have come with my XR650. I can't quite remember, but that's what I use for that. I mean, yes, I can use this as well. So I've got kind of some redundancy here. Maybe not necessary to have this when I've got this. I don't know. You know, I could minimize this just a little bit more and remove some weight here if I was real choosy, real picky. But again, I mean, sometimes all I need is that tool. I just need that right there to get the job done, and this isn't getting it done for some reason. Yeah, it's hard to leave stuff behind sometimes. I've got my wrenches here. The only thing that's missing is my 12mm wrench, and I don't know why it's missing. It's just missing. These are the 4 sizes of Allens that I need to work on both those motorcycles right there. I think I only need 3 of them to work on the XR650, but I needed an extra one to work on the 150. So I got 4 of them there. I've got an 8, 10, 12, 14 socket. I've got a Phillips head screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver in conjunction with a spark plug removal tool right there. And the way that works is you just put your wrench on here like that, and that's how you get your spark plug out. And then I've got an extension and then a swivelly head, a little ratchet. I love this little ratchet. It kind of falls into the same category as this right here. I really like these little tools. This swivelly ratchet is pretty dang handy. You can kind of spin it like you would a screwdriver and then obviously use it like you would a normal ratchet, both sides. Really convenient. Man, it's a pretty cool little tool. This thing is made by Titan, I think. I think that's what it says on there. Don't hold me to that. And then I think we already talked about the vise grips are pretty dang handy. You can use these also in a pinch if you should break your lever, not completely off, like, you know, your clutch lever or something like that, but you break it off, snap it. You can add this to the nub, what's left of your lever, and then give yourself a little bit more leverage, get yourself a little bit of length there so you can get yourself out of the trail, get you out of the woods. I carry these tools in these bags right here, and I kind of isolate, separate wrenches, sockets, and stuff like that, keep it a little bit more organized. What I end up doing for the most part is dumping stuff out on top of my bag here. This is what I carry all of the tools in, as just a little cinched drawstring backpack right there. Right there. I've got a link to these in the description in the comment section of the video. P&W Bushcraft makes these for me. I've got my small little backpack here that I can use for a backpack if I want to. I can sit on the wet ground because it's waxed canvas. It keeps my butt dry. Or I can spread this out on the ground like this, and I can throw my tools on it and keep parts and stuff organized out of the grass and out of the mud so stuff doesn't get lost. You know how that goes. A rag would be a really good idea to throw in there. Just a bandana, a rag of some sort, just to clean your hands off, clean stuff up. I usually have something like that with me. I've usually got a Band-Aid or something tied around my neck as well when I'm riding. So that takes care of that. Now, I promised you there was one more tool. There's one tool that most people do not carry on a motorcycle, but I tell you what, especially if you're riding in rocky terrain and you're going to be banging into stuff, dinging hard stuff, you're going to bend things. I've had to bend a sprocket back, mostly back to shape, a rear sprocket with an adjustable wrench like this. You kind of just clamp down onto the sprocket, and then you can kind of tweak it here and there and get it to kind of form back into a straight-ish shape. But the tool that came in the most handy, the winner of the most the MVP of tools when I did my big trip in Baja not too long ago. We did like 1,500 miles in Mexico, and it was some rough terrain. The MVP tool was a hammer. Nobody, not a single person, including me, on this trip started out with a hammer. Nobody had a hammer, and we needed one so often. I mean, all we needed was to be able to whack something, to get something dislodged or bent back to shape, bent back to where it belonged. And we did not have a hammer. And we were using rocks on the side of the road, on the trails and stuff, and the rocks were crumbly and just didn't work. This little 16-ounce hammer right here that I've cut the handle down to make it a little bit smaller and more portable is so dang handy, and I almost never travel anywhere without it now. It's a pound. I get it. It's a big, chunky, heavy thing, and you don't want to add that to your kit. I get it. But sometimes all you need is to smash something with a hammer. MVP tool right there, guys. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section. What am I missing? What do I need to have with me? What parts maybe? What extra tubing, hoses, whatever, different electronic components, fuses, things like that should I have? I've got a few extras on the motorcycle, but not a huge, extensive list of that kind of stuff. But what do you guys think that I need to add to my toolkit? Leave that in the comment section for me, and I really appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until next time, what's the worst that could happen? Let's just go on 3. And this all packs down to that right there, friends. It's not that much, really. I mean, it's pretty all-inclusive. It does pretty much the entire job of disassembling and reassembling the motorcycle, and that's pretty much it right there, including the big, bulky, heavy-duty spare tube right there. I could use a smaller, thinner, lightweight tube for sure as a spare, but I like the heavy-duty ones because I don't like getting flats. So there's that, and then all of that just kind of goes into this pack right here, and I strap it down, put it in the saddlebags, do whatever, make sure that goes along with me.